Namaste, guys. ChristianRLong, life enhancement consultant, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Sunday evening, almost 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time here in Denver, Colorado. And it's been kind of a warm day. We're about 79 degrees right now. It kept saying it was raining, but looked out the window and it hasn't really been raining today. And made myself a nice Namaste. Made myself a nice freshly squeezed juice with multiple ingredients in it. I cut up some nice, fresh, clean, bright, and shiny watermelon. It's like perfect. You know, it's got that sweet, it's got that crunch, it's got that cooling quality. Steven, Namaste. Got my teacher, Grandmaster Cho Kok Sui, behind me, energetically, metaphorically, and visually. Life is good. Life is grand. That's a strong juice. And I put in an Instacart order, so my groceries are going to be dropped off right behind me within the next hour, so that's pretty banging. And then I'll head out and probably do some rollerblading. I went rollerblading for 1 hour yesterday. It was phenomenal. Super in the flow, going fast, uphill, downhill, sideways, busting it out. Saw some weird ER emergency at the mall across the street, so I don't know what that was all about. But, you know, never seen any Netflix, anything, no desire to watch. I'm way too busy for movies and such. Becca, Namaste. Well, you might change your tune if you hear this Netflix show that I was watching. So for the past probably 8 or 9 months, one of my mentors was saying, you need to watch this show on Netflix. She had a couple shows that she needed me to watch, and this was just happened to be one of them. She's like, you need to watch this show on Netflix. I watched one of them, got some value out of it. And then this one I kept delaying, and I'm like, I don't know. I know the author of Soon, Namaste. I know the author. I've seen her. I really like her writing style, but I don't really like her presentation, interview style of what I've seen. So I was like hesitant, right? I'm like, ugh. But something deep inside of me said, all right, tonight's the night. Michelle, Namaste. Tonight's the night to sit down and to watch this. So last night, I don't know, maybe 8 o'clock, 8:30 or something like that. I'm sitting, finished dinner, and I'm like, all right, let's watch this Netflix recommendation, okay? And it's the documentary, or I don't really say documentary, I don't know what you call it, an extended TED Talk, I don't know what you'd call it, but it's by Brene Brown, who is a researcher for the past 20 years on guilt and shame, and also fear. And so the show, the documentary, the extended TED Talk, whatever you want to call it, Namaste, it's called Courage. And I thought, okay, all right, I'm down. And all of a sudden, like 5 minutes into it, I'm like, my resistance is coming down, my preconceived ideas are starting to change and morph, and I'm becoming more open and receptive to her message. Udwala, Namaste. So I went forward with it. And I watched the whole thing. It was about an hour and 15 minutes long, and I got a lot of value out of it. Dearly, Namaste, and I would encourage and recommend to each and every one of you to go check it out on Netflix. If you have a Netflix account, get after it. It's called Courage by Brene Brown. And I was originally exposed to Brene Brown on Oprah, and then I saw her TED Talk about vulnerability. And I liked what I heard because I realized, number one, there was a quote by Theodore Roosevelt, former president of the United States. I forget where he fit in, but he basically was like the man when it came to he founded the national park system within the United States. He was a huge environmentalist, and he was the one who came up with the expression, talk softly but carry a big stick, meaning show up as a graceful, kind, loving person, but also make sure you have enough resources behind you that if you have to use force, you use so much force that you overwhelm your opponent or the opposition, Libya, Namaste, and you take it, and you take what you need, want, and desire in the shortest period of time. So talk softly and carry a big stick. That was his famous expression. But if you go into Google and you type in Theodore Roosevelt and type in the word arena quote, Theodore Roosevelt arena quote, I would highly recommend checking out that quote. I remember reading that when I was 19 or 20 years old, and I was in prison for a unpaid traffic violation. Unpaid traffic violation, which led to a suspended license because I moved. I never got the ticket. I never paid it. Blah, 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 right? It was just one of those, like, wrong place, wrong time, squirrely moments in my life. So I was like, I'm in jail. And I remember saying to myself, I was in jail, like an actual jail, like a county jail. And I'm in jail. And, I got the little orange jumpsuit on. This might be a little bit too much for you guys. But, hey, this is me being vulnerable, because I really don't want to share this story. But you might get some humor and some value out of it. So I'm in this little orange jumpsuit. And I'm sitting down, at the mess hall. We're eating, your 3 meals a day. And we're all wearing orange jumpsuits. Orange is the new black. And I'm sitting down to this guy who's about my age. So I'm 19 or 20 at this time. He's about my age. And he goes, well, what are you in for? And I said, oh, I'm in for a parking ticket or something like that, like a moving violation or whatever, right? And I literally had no idea how long I was going to be there. They told me zero. They basically picked me up, drove me across state lines, put me in prison, literally prison, Ananda Namaste, and told me nothing else. Tamara Namaste. I was like, are you kidding me? This is how you hello? So I said, I don't know. I'm in for a moving violation. And I said, well, what are you in for? And I forget what he told me. And I said, well, how long are you here for? Namaste. He goes, 11 years. He was my age, 19, 20 years old, maybe a year older, maybe. That's pushing it. And he was in prison for 11 years. And I thought to myself, I'm in prison with these people. What is going on? I have a moving violation that I have a court date for. And this guy did something so heinous that he's going to be in prison for the next 11 years. What am I missing? So, anyways, I don't even know how I got I'm going to say, why prison? Because of a moving violation. This is like 19 years ago. So how did I even I don't even know how I got there. So, vulnerability. I'm sure it'll come back to me. So, I got exposed to her TED Talk about vulnerability, and I liked it. I didn't so much like her interview with Oprah, but she became a huge regular participant on Oprah's show a few years ago. She wrote 5 books about shame, about guilt, about fear, about courage, about vulnerability. And so watching this, I really enjoyed her take on vulnerability. And I thought to myself, by her definition of courage and her definition of vulnerability, I thought to myself, a lot of my life, I've put myself into very, very uncomfortable situations and scenarios. I've lived a pretty interesting life. I've overcome a lot of things. I still have things that I have to overcome. And it will be in my book eventually. The goal is to have the book written by this year. Yes, see, Brene Brown, exactly. Yeah, Brene Brown. And have that written by the end of the year. So, give me 1 second. Hydrating. And I thought to myself how valuable that would be in our day-to-day lives, because that's her prescription, if you will, of being vulnerable and being courageous every single day of your life. Getting out there, putting yourself out there in your intimate relationships, your professional relationships, your relationships with strangers at a Starbucks or a grocery line or wherever. And it's interesting because one of the guys that she was talking to about this vulnerability program, he said, Well, I'm going to start practicing vulnerability with myself first. Brittany, namaste. I'm going to start practicing vulnerability with myself first, and then, I'll gradually move into practicing vulnerability with another person. And she's like, did you even listen to my talk? That's not what vulnerability is. Vulnerability is the process of opening yourself up and exposing yourself to another person, not just to yourself. Kelly, namaste. So I thought that was actually really interesting, that being vulnerable is being emotionally exposed, right? So if you're not emotionally exposed, it's very, very difficult to be vulnerable. So I thought to myself, I go, all right, I've been doing these live streams for 6 years. Lisa, namaste. For 6 years I've been doing these live streams. And there have been moments, not a lot, but there have been moments that I broke down in tears about something that was happening in my life. So that would have been an example of being emotionally exposed, being emotionally vulnerable. But in general, I'm not really emotionally vulnerable because my capacity to be vulnerable and my capacity to be courageous is bigger than most people's. So I have to think to myself, how can I really stretch myself? How can I really take it to the next level? How can I really put myself out there? And it's also, she made an interesting point that some of us on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter and whatever can relate to, that by you jumping onto Facebook and talking about somebody dying close to you, talking about the birth of a child, talking about a divorce, talking about something that you need, want, and desire to share with other people, that is not being vulnerable. That is not practicing courage. That is not being emotionally exposed. And I thought about that for a second. I was like, that's actually a really good point, right? Anna, namaste. You just needed to hear these words today. Perfect. But think about that. You're not being emotionally exposed. So if you're itching to share something about your life, the birth of a child, a divorce, the death of a relative, something like that, you're itching. You're like, in my heart of hearts, I gotta share this with people. You're not being emotionally vulnerable. You're not being courageous. Think about that. I never had that perspective before until she mentioned it, and she's been studying this stuff researching it for 15 years, but doing work around this for about 20 years. So I was like, very interesting. So I'm thinking in my own life, what are some things that I would want to share, or not that I would want to share, but by sharing that thing, it would build a space of emotional vulnerability, which is the possibility of rejection, the possibility of being pushed away, the possibility of not being heard, acknowledged, validated, recognized, right? So it's like, but it's the act of you get the butterflies in your stomach. You're like, ugh, this needs to be said, but I'm kind of, terrified of saying it. And it was actually really funny. She shared another story. I'm not ruining for you guys. I'm building the stories up so you get inspired to watch it. And she was talking about another guy who came across her work, and he goes, I want to let you know that your work transformed my life. And she hears this all the time, and she was kind of not in a space of listening, so she's just like, yeah, great. And he goes, do you want to hear? And she goes, yeah, great. And he says, I went out with this girl, and neither one of us had told each other that we loved each other, right? Neither one of us had said that we loved each other. So he says, I booked a reservation for this fancy restaurant, and I had envisioned in my mind that we are going to, I'm going to say I love her at dessert, and we're going to order this lava cake, and it's going to be beautiful. And I guess that was one of the desserts that they enjoyed. So he's like, okay, when the lava cake comes, I'm going to drop it and be like, I love you. And for me, that's kind of weird. For him, that's emotional vulnerability. But if I care for somebody, if I love somebody, I'm very open and free with that because I just am. And I mean it. It's from the heart. I'm not super mental about it. Like, oh, I love you for all of these, 17 reasons, right? But that's just how he rolls. Faguni Atma Namaste. So, before dessert comes, he's so excited and so almost sick with anxiousness of like, I'm going to tell this girl that I love her. So, before the dessert comes, he busts it out and he goes, Wanda, I don't know if her name was Wanda. Let's just pretend it's Wanda. Wanda, I want to let you know, I love you. And you know what she says? She goes, I think you're awesome, and I think we should see other people. How do you think that would make him feel? For a person to build up all that courage, all that vulnerability, being emotionally exposed, and then say that, and then that's the feedback that he got, right? So, leaves the restaurant, gets in his car, the whole way he's driving home, he's swearing Brene Brown's name. That, da-da-da-da-da-da. He meets up with his roommates at home, and he's like telling them the story. Harita, namaste. And they're like, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. You figured out that this isn't the person for you. And all of a sudden the light bulbs went off in his head, right? Because if you express, I love you, from a vulnerable, emotionally naked place, and the other person rejects you, well, guess what? Maybe that's not the best person to be with. And granted, she talked about you build up trust and vulnerability, trust and vulnerability, trust and vulnerability. You don't start off meeting somebody right off the bat and go, by the way, these are my deepest, darkest secrets, and hi, my name's Christian, right? You wouldn't really start off that way. You give them a little, you see how they respond, you give them a little bit more, you see how they respond, and you keep going up the chain of vulnerability and trust. So they got to be kind of one and the same. You're like, oh, when I shared this secret with this person, they went out and told everybody else that secret within our social circle or social network, right? So that might be a person that you don't want to associate with on a regular basis. So that was the first part of the stream. Was I highly recommend watching the movie Courage on Netflix by Brene Brown. When you do watch it, it's about an hour and 15 minutes long. Give me some feedback. Send me a private message on Facebook. You can email me at ChristianRLong@gmail. Let me know how that was for you. And if you're feeling so inspired, Caleb, namaste. If you're feeling so inspired, feel free to be vulnerable about something that you want to, not that you want, but you want to get off, like you got to get off your chest because you feel like it'll take you to the next level of joy, happiness, and intimacy with the people that you connect with, which kind of goes back to a stream I did a few days ago, that when you're part of a business organization, a spiritual organization, you can be around these people for 5, 10, 15, 20 years and still know very, very, very little about them because there's no space of vulnerability between you and the other person, which I recommend this to each and every one of you. There's I think it's called 30 questions. If it's not 30, it's 33, but I'm pretty sure it's 30 questions. Just type that into Google, and that will give you 30 questions that by asking, and it's been proven through social science, by asking these questions, you will have a better understanding and deeper intimacy with this person, even if they're a complete stranger, versus people that you spent 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They said they had stronger bonds with strangers at the end of asking these questions than they did with their best friends. Think about that. With their best friends. People you've known for many, 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 many years. So again, goes back to vulnerability, goes back to courage, goes back to being emotionally exposed. Saying those things, sharing those things that give you butterflies in your stomach. Because of my personality and because of my life experience, there's very, 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 very few things that I am unwilling to share. Very, very few things that I'm unwilling to share. But I'm sure there's layers that, I gotta pull back and layers of the onion to go, oh wow, I never thought of that before. Wow, if I shared that would really create a deeper level of intimacy between me and this person. So, the other thing I want to throw out there to you guys, So vulnerability is good or not? Yes, vulnerability is good. Yes, 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 vulnerability is good. It's how you build trust with the other person. It's how you build joy, happiness, intimacy in your relationships with other people. So yes, vulnerability is good. Good, good, good. The other part of this live stream tonight, I've been wanting to cover this topic for a few days, and it's funny because sometimes a topic will come in. Ray, namaste. Sometimes a topic will come into my brain, and then it will be gone. Like it'll come into my brain, I'll be like, all right, we're going to do a stream on that tonight. Other times, an idea will come in, it'll disappear, and I'll never remember it again, right? This one has consistently and persistently come back and back and back into my awareness. So I thought, well, let's talk about it. Have you noticed, have you noticed that when people give you advice, give you counsel, give you recommendations, you tend to not follow it. You tend to not follow it. And I was scratching my brain as to why that is. I'll give you 2 examples from my own life. So this is me being vulnerable. This is me sharing with you guys. And yes, I'm sharing for the purpose of your benefit and your education, and I don't necessarily want to share this. I'm not like super excited. So this would be me being vulnerable. So, many years ago, I'll share 2 things. Many years ago, when I was living in Jersey City, New Jersey, and I was having the darkest, most difficult time of my life, from 2008 to 2011, I was exposing myself to a lot of sugar. Sugar? Huh? What? I went on a tangent. What do you mean? I happened to be working in a restaurant in New York City called Max Brenner's, a chocolate restaurant. Now, you might think, well, who cares? A chocolate restaurant. What's the big deal? People work at restaurants all the time, and it's not the worst time of their entire life. Well, for some people. So, I start working at this place, recovering from divorce, recovering from missing my son who's in another state, my young son, recovering from this, recovering from that, right? Financial hardships, all this stuff. So I'm kind of like starting my life over again, if you will. And when somebody's anxious, other than meditation, they're typically going to use food as a way of pacifying that anxiousness. Or some people work out. For me, working out wasn't the example that I went towards. It was all the sugar around me at this chocolate restaurant. You had specialty hot chocolates. You had specialty chocolate fondues. You had specialty lava cakes. You had specialty any and all kinds of sweet treats you can possibly imagine at this place because it was a chocolate restaurant. Well, at that time, I didn't know I had a sugar sensitivity, right? Had no idea I had a sugar sensitivity. I've had it my entire life. Sugar, refined sugar, adversely affects my physical body and my emotional body and my mental body. Like, to a very, very, very high degree. So much so that I've been hospitalized 3 times because of it. I'm not even making that up. 3 times I've been in the hospital for many nights because of sugar. So, it's probably a big deal, right? And so, when I was part of the Pranic Healing Center in Lyndhurst, New Jersey, and attending healing clinics every week to get healing for myself, nobody knew what it was specifically except 2 people. These 2 people said to me, your pancreas is really inflamed and congested, right? So people who have diabetes and insulin problems, their pancreas is adversely affected, right? So both of these people said to me, hey, Christian, you should remove sugar from your diet. They didn't just say this once. They didn't just say it twice, but they said it over a 3-year period. Christian, you should remove sugar from your diet. Christian, you should remove sugar from your diet. Christian, you should remove sugar from your diet. Did I listen? No. Blair, Atma Namaste. Did I take their suggestions? No. Did I stay stuck in that addiction of sugar at that time in my life? Absolutely. Did it cost me suffering more than I'll probably be aware of in this incarnation, and how it adversely affected the people around me, the people closest to me. It's just like being addicted to drugs, just like being addicted to alcohol, just like being addicted to shopping. A sugar addiction, sugar affects the brain identically, and in some cases worse than cocaine does. I'm one of those people, right? So since then, I've cut my sugar intake by over 80%, and emotions are calm, physical body strong and healthy, mental body is clean and sharp. So all is well. But I did not take that advice. Even though I was suffering, even though I was doing most anything and everything else to try to shift and change the tides in my life, to improve my life, I didn't follow the simple instructions. Why is that? Why is that? Why wasn't I following simple instructions? So, second time, and I could give you many, the second time is my son, because of a misunderstanding, him and I stopped talking to each other for 4 years. For 4 years, my son stopped talking to me. Now, right at the start of that conversation of an email that was sent to me of, we're not going to be talking anymore, or we're not going to be talking for the foreseeable future, it was recommended to me, you need to do healing, Christian. You need to do healing on yourself, you need to do healing on your relationship with your son, and you need to do healing on your son. So 3 things: healing you, healing the connection, and healing your son. This was told to me not once, not twice, not 3 times, but for 4 years. And for those 4 years, I almost heard zero from my son. No email, no text messages, no phone calls, no nothing. And I had no way of getting hold of him because he's younger and doesn't have access to certain things, right? So, one day, I sat down, was inspired to. I sat down and I said, I'm going to do healing on myself, I'm going to do healing on the connection between me and my son, and I'm going to do healing on my son. I did the healing, and the next day, he reached out to me on social media. I think it was Instagram, and then we connected on Facebook. So from 4 years of no connecting, no talking, a tremendous amount of suffering, and doing everything else, lawyers, all of that stuff, what was most strongly recommended to me was sit down, do healing on yourself, do healing on the relationship, do healing on your son. And I didn't do it. But when I finally did it after 4 years, because I guess I couldn't stand suffering anymore, after 4 years, the very next day, he messages me on Instagram, and we've been harmonious with each other ever since. We've been connected with one another ever since. I saw him this past December in Sarasota, Florida. Some of you may have seen those pictures on Instagram and on Facebook. And my life has been improved because of it. His life has been improved because of it. But did it have to take 4 years for that to happen? Maybe, maybe not, right? We all have our individual karma. We have family karma. There's a lot of moving parts. But the point I'm trying to make is, why is it when something is recommended to us by a friend, a family member, a coach, a healer, an advisor, Scott, I'm an namaste, by someone who has, the term is called outside eyes, somebody who can see more objective about a situation than we can because we're in it, right? We're clouded by maybe negative thoughts, we're clouded by limiting beliefs, we're clouded in some way, shape, or form from moving forward and taking action. So the person with the outside eyes, they're maybe most likely seeing the situation more accurately than we are because they're objective about it. They're not entangled with the energies mentally and emotionally. So the advice that they give us can shift us. If I just followed the advice on removing sugar from my diet, it would have taken about a month, which it did. It would have taken about a month. I would have shifted and alleviated suffering of 3 years. That cost me time, money, so much. If I sat down and did a healing of myself, my relationship with my son, and my son, what would have happened? Instead of waiting 4 years, what if I did it the first week? So I find it fascinating, because I'm always trying to understand why we do what we do as a healer and as a coach. I find it fascinating that we have to be told over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, in order to follow the advice of somebody, that the advice is very obvious. It's kind of like being in an abusive relationship with somebody. Everybody in that person's circle of influence can see that the relationship is unhealthy, and they're like, you need to leave that relationship. And after years of suffering, years of wasted time, years of fill in the blank, the person finally goes, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm no longer going to be in this abusive relationship. And then they go about their day, right? But it's like, why do we have to suffer for so long in order to make the right decision to move forward now? Why does it have to be years instead of right now, right? It's like nipping it in the bud. For instance, I always wondered, I should say, about people who were 300, 350, 400 pounds. And I think to myself, that person's morbidly obese, and they increase the likelihood of premature death by over 80%. And I think to myself, why didn't they stop the behaviors and patterns at the 300 pounds? Why didn't they stop those at 250, 200, 150 pounds? Because they knew what the right thing to do then at 150 pounds, just like they know what the right thing to do is at 300, 350, 400 pounds. So it's fascinating to me that we know what to do. We know in our heart of hearts, we know the right thing to do. The right thing to do for me was to stop eating sugar. I knew that, but I pushed it away. The right thing for me to do was to heal myself and my son, but I rejected. I pushed it away. I said, it can't be that simple. So, a big portion as to why we don't follow simple instructions, as I understand it from Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui, the modern founder of pranic healing and Arhatic yoga, is because of negative pride. Because of negative pride. That's why we don't follow simple instructions. We think we have a better, faster, easier, blah, 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 blah way to do it than what the person is recommending to us. So it's kind of like if you were to hire a coach, a business coach, a sales coach, a personal trainer, and they say, do this, this, and this for this period of time, and you will get the result that you're seeking. What do? Do we say, yes, boss, got it, I'm on it right now? No, we come up with reasons, excuses, rationalizations, all of these things to stay stuck on our story, right? We try to own our story. You go, well, other people can do that, this, that, but I can't because of these 35 reasons. But it's like, it's not about your reasons, it's not about your excuses, it's about you doing the thing that will get you the result that you want. For instance, you want to lose weight, and you want to be in super good shape. So, you have to change your diet, and you have to work out regularly. That's it. That's it. Change your diet and work out regularly. All of the excuses, all of the rationalizations. I don't have a gym membership. I can't afford a gym membership. The gym is too far. I don't like running. My bicycle has a flat tire. I don't like to feel sore. I don't like to sweat in the summertime. It's too cold to work out. Any multitude of excuses and reasons for losing weight and becoming more fit are completely irrelevant. It's irrelevant. So there's a funny example that Master Choa was sharing with one of the masters of pranic healing about an employee that he had. So he hired this employee to do certain tasks for the company to make the company profitable. This employee was not doing those things to make the company profitable. He was actually costing the company money. He was an expense. He was a liability versus an asset. James, namaste. Good to have you back on. Times 2. So Whenever Grandmaster Choa Kuk Sui would give this employee an assignment, the employee would give all of these excuses and reasons as to why he can't complete the assignment or complete the task. So he says, well, if you're going to give me excuses, why would I hire you and keep you on the payroll if you're just going to give me excuses? I could fire you, save the money, and then come up with my own excuses as to why I can't carry out the task at hand. Think about that. Super clear, right? No fuzziness. So if you want X, Y, and Z in your life, and you have to do A, B, C to get there, then do A, B, C, and forget the excuses, the reasons, the rationalizations as to why you can't do those things. So it's about letting go of the story, and it's about moving forward as quickly as possible. And yes, releasing negative pride, practicing humility, and going, all right, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, this is how I can leverage my strengths, this is how I can minimize my weaknesses, and this is how I can move my life forward. Very, very simple. But we do not follow simple instructions because of negative pride. Time and time and time again. Right? So like in the world of spirituality, in the world of the work that we do as healers, yogis, it's meditate every day. That's it. Do your Twin Hearts meditation every day. Depending upon the version of Twin Hearts, 15 to 30 minutes every day. 15 to 30 minutes every day. Now, what is somebody going to do? Right? The objective is soul realization. The objective is enlightenment. The objective is inner peace. The objective is clarity of mind. Whatever the objective is, right? Twin Hearts will get you there. Then you can give every single excuse in the world as to why you're not doing it. I don't have enough time. I'm super tired in the evening. I'm super tired in the morning. I have kids. I have work responsibilities. I da 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 da. James, I'm gonna say all of these things, right? Who cares? Your excuses and justifications and rationalizations are completely and utterly irrelevant. This is how I know it's irrelevant. You've not made it a priority, because if somebody put a gun to your head and said, meditate every day. Yeah, I've been back in Colorado for a week, son. They put a gun to your head and they say, meditate every day. Would you meditate every day? Absolutely, unequivocally, 100%. It would become a priority in your life and you would get the result that you're seeking. Same thing with put a gun to your head, go to the gym. You would get in better shape. Put a gun to your head, change your diet. You would change your diet. Put a gun to your head. So it's prioritizing. It's making it important. It's making it urgent. It's making it something that gives you a strong enough why to move forward. Because all of your excuses and your reasons and your rationalizations as to why you don't do what you need to do are irrelevant. Doesn't matter. Just like Master Choa hiring the employee for a certain task, and then the person gives excuse after excuse after excuse. Why would I hire you and spend the money on you for you to give me excuses? I can fire you and then come up with the excuses myself and not have to pay extra money. Nice, awesome. I mean, I just got back to... Oh, you got back to Illinois and you're speaking truth. I try to pray and write every morning. Perfect. Remove the word try. Remember, there is no try, only do. Our little Yoda buddy. Because our language is constantly programming our subconscious mind. Our language is constantly putting us in a positive or negative state. So we have to be very careful on the words that come out of our mouth, because the words that come out of our mouth train and condition the energy in our subconscious mind that is running whether we're aware of it or not. That's why it's called the subconscious mind. So if you say, yeah, I'm going to try it. Yeah, I'm going to try it. Yeah, I'm going to try it. That energy of trying bleeds into every other area of your life. I'm going to try to get into shape. I'm going to try to meditate. I'm not picking on you, James, but I notice that you put that there, and I think it would be beneficial for you as well as other people that are on the stream. I will pray. Yeah, I will pray. Rosemarie, I'm an namaste. I will pray every day. I pray every day. So You can use the word will, which has power to it. Or you can just say, I do X, Y, and Z, right? So language is super, super powerful. Super powerful. That's why the throat chakra is known as the chakra of materialization. The chakra of materialization. Every time you speak, you create a thought form in the energy world. Oh, is that? I think it's our stuff. Perfect timing.
Oh, good.
Man, you're good. Thank you.
Can I help you carry anything in?
No, I'm good. I'm just going to throw it up on the counter. You get to be in my live stream.
Oh,
How
good.
exciting is that?
What are you live streaming?
I'm a professional energy healer, meditation teacher, so I'm just giving some value to
That's fantastic.
the people. And,
Well, I hope everybody benefits. Love yourself. Be kind.
Yes, be kind and love yourself.
Be kind to yourself, too.
Yes.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you so much, dear.
Bye.
Be well. Nice. She's cute. Yeah, get it, James. They got me the lemon instead of the lime. I guess they didn't have the lime. Okay. So that's it, guys. That's for our stream for tonight. We covered the Netflix special that I highly recommend watching it and why I recommend watching it. If you are inclined to share something, to be vulnerable with me, I'm all ears. Email me at ChristianRLong@gmail. We covered the second part as the reason we don't follow simple instructions that we know in our heart of hearts that will move our lives forward, not in 5 or 10 years, but right now, is because of negative pride. So negative pride needs to be removed properly and rapidly. You can do that through healing. You can do that through inner reflection, firm resolution. You can do that through the blessings of a great, great teacher. There's several different ways that you can do it. But it's about having humility. It's about practicing good self-esteem, good self-image, good self-worth. Because if you love yourself and somebody gives you advice or counsel on an area in your life that you're stuck, you're going to go, instead of resisting it with every fiber of your being, you're going to be like, you know what? You have actually a really good point. I'm going to do that. And then you move forward. Erlen, namaste. The Netflix special is called, I know you joined late, son. The Netflix special is called Courage by Brene Brown. Courage by Brene Brown. Pedro, namaste. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You missed the stream. We're finishing up, but you can watch the replay when we post it. What was the other part? The other part, so negative pride is what prevents us from following simple instructions to move our lives forward. Remove negative pride, develop humility, develop good self-esteem, good self-image, good self-worth, and then when somebody gives you that counsel, that advice, you process it with awareness, with understanding. You're not defensive about it, and you're like, you know what, that person has a good point. I'm going to follow the simple instructions. I'm going to apply it and move my life forward. We do not have to suffer for years before we move our lives forward. We can take the information right now and transform. That's the power of it. So I hope that helps. For those of you who are in need of healing, which we all are in some way, shape, or form, I get healing. Many clients of mine get healing. Co-disciples of mine in pranic healing and Arhatic yoga also get healing. So, Kitty, namaste. I've never seen you on Kitty Merchant. That almost sounds like a Kitty Merchant. Is that your real name, Kitty Merchant? Go to ChristianRLong.com. Either schedule a consultation with me or schedule a healing session with me. 30 minutes of coaching, 30 minutes of healing to move your life forward. And here's the awesome thing about that hour-long session. At the end of that hour, we give you homework assignment to specifically move your life forward if you follow it. If you follow the simple instructions, it will move your life forward and it'll improve the quality of your life. And now I have to do a project for a client right now. But again, ChristianRLong.com. Any questions, comments, clarifications, challenges, Facebook me, email me, do what have you. You're welcome, Brittany, girl. And by the way, if you're in the DC area, reach out to Brittany and her posse. They do meditation and healing clinics every week. They just finished the Veggie Fest today, which I don't know why it's so funny to hear it and see it, but Veggie Fest, it just sounds funny. But the Veggie Fest was an opportunity to share the teachings of our teacher, Grandmaster Choa Koksui, the modern founder of pranic healing or Hatha yoga, because people who are eating veggies tend to be people that are health conscious, wellness conscious, maybe have a bend towards spirituality, and all we do is bring people to the door of our teacher and say, here's pranic healing, here's our Hatha yoga, here's how it can help you with this situation in your life, and then that's it. They take it, they run with it, it improves their life, they reject it, and they say, yeah, this doesn't work for me. That's okay, but we did our job. Here's the door, right? So, love you guys very, very much. This is Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consultant, wishing you a beautiful Sunday. I hope you had a phenomenal weekend. I had a very good weekend. Still have more stuff to do today. And I hope you have a beautiful week coming up and a beautiful life. Atma. Namaste. Bye-bye.